Greetings. We are a group of interdimensional beings speaking to you on behalf of the Galactic Federation. And more importantly, we represent the wishes of all that is. Today, we would like to speak to you about a unique subject. This subject is crop circles. This phenomenon has been appearing on your Earth plane for many, many years, and it has presented the Earth beings with many questions, resulting in many opinions and mystery around these appearances. We would like to give you our perspective of this phenomenon. The Earth as you know her is a plane of existence upon which you live, breathe, play, and do all the things that you do as you progress through your life. Many of you, however, have not and do not consider her to be a living being in her own sovereign right. She too, Gaia as we like to call her, is a living, breathing being in a larger, more expansive cosmic perspective. She has, much like the inhabitants of your Earth plane, been a prisoner for many thousands of your years, under the rule of the dark energies we call the Draco-Reptilians and Orion Greys. These subjects are spoken about in depth in our book, a link for which will be provided below. You may also refer back to our other transmissions where we speak about these beings and how they came to be upon your Earth plane. As a prisoner planet, Gaia was hijacked and shielded from connecting to her celestial brothers and sisters for many thousands of your years. Her method of communication prior to her imprisonment was through vibration and frequency. As the dark energies in their depravity subjected her environment and atmosphere to a very low vibrating frequency, it became more and more difficult for her to retain her contact with the outer cosmos. And so over time she retreated within herself, along with many of her creatures, as they perished and died off. The trees too have over time become silent. These stewards of the land, who were responsible for transmitting messages and energies across vast distances, were also silenced as they watched the foliage and the forests become desiccated all around them. Things were dire for a long time, until the Earth began to move into the Photon Belt, and she began to awaken as if from a very long slumber. She began to see the light piercing through the darkness and the low vibrational energy. She was also able to, after a very long period, receive the pure rays from the galactic sun once again. This gave her much energy and encouragement as she began to gain strength and realize that this was her time of evolution. And so she is now in her full realization of this and is gaining strength each day as she moves further and further along the Photon Belt. She is also pleased to learn that the higher light and light beings are assisting her and the inhabitants upon her plane as the collective rises out of this slavery. As with all creatures and energies that have come into fruition by the energy we know as all that is, each one has their own expression of birth, growth, creativity, life and death. In this way, Gaia too has unique ways of expressing herself. You have been exposed to earthquakes, landslides, rivers overflowing, storms, volcanoes, and other such phenomenon. Over time, and as her planes were being desiccated, she began to, in her creative expression, try to communicate through crop circles with her celestial brothers and sisters. She began to create these designs upon her fields so that others might acknowledge her existence and see her messages from their far-off places. These messages were received, but many were unable to assist as the stronghold of the dark energies were too overwhelming. Many have explored and tried to decipher these messages, and many have come close. However, they have always imagined that these messages were coming from otherworldly beings and not the other way around. They imagined that these messages were coming from aliens, as you refer to otherworldly beings, and this has not been true. Gaia has, in rare moments of lucidity, shall we say, tried to communicate with the outside world, trying to broadcast many messages about the situation on the Earth plane and its inhabitants. The material is too vast to go into detail with each of these transmissions. This is why we generalize. The messages were a cry for help that she sent out to the beyond. After the intervention of all that is, things began to shift as the higher light beings and the Galactic Federation of Light came together and descended upon the Earth plane. Gaia has been receiving assistance so that she may continue on her journey by freeing her from the clutches of these dark energies and allowing her to progress untethered on her evolutionary path along with the inhabitants on her planes. We encourage our viewers to ask us questions in this regard if you would like us to be more specific. We will leave you in peace and joy as you progress upon your path. Blessings.